Rite of Passage. Every culture has ceremonies and traditions for most of the important events in a person's life, be it a birth, coming of age, marriage, or even death. We take a closer look. 21 today, 21 today. I've got the key of the door, I've never been 21 before. It's been many years since I heard that little song sung at my 21st birthday party. In fact, if I recall correctly, Mozart was playing the piano when they sung it. The 21st birthday celebration is a big deal in Western culture. It is the day that you come of age. You are now officially an adult. It probably stems from the fact that in many countries you had to be 21 before you could vote. It's also tradition to receive a key on your 21st birthday, a symbol denoting your freedom. We seem to have rituals and ceremonies for most of the important events in life. We have them for birth, coming of age, marriage, even for death. And although they may differ somewhat, most cultures and religions seem to have them. In most Christian cultures, baptism plays an important role. In some churches, this is done at birth, and it's normally when the child is named. In many charismatic churches, however, baptism doesn't take place at birth. This happens much later, when a person is old enough to give their life to God. They are then baptized as a sign of being born again. The person being baptized is immersed under the water. It is symbolic of being buried and then rising again as a new person. Yet some churches can't even agree on how this should be done. Some say that the body should be immersed under the water once, while others say the person should be immersed 3 times. In the Jewish culture, male children are circumcised shortly after birth in a ceremony known as the bris. This is a symbol of their covenant with God. Namkaran is a ski ceremony of naming a child, and it usually takes place in a Gurdwara, a sea place of worship. And this is after the baby and mother are medically and physically fit enough to attend the Gurdwara. It normally just involves the main family members attending. Amrit Sanskar, or Amrit Sanshar, or the Amrit ceremony, is the sea ceremony of initiation or baptism. It embodies the primary objectives of the sea faith and promises connection with the Guru, as well as promoting the ability to lead a pure and pious life, which will unite the pure one with Almighty Lord. Other Christian churches will have rituals such as First Holy Communion. This is common to the Catholic faith. One ritual that is common to most cultures and religions is the coming of age ceremony, the rite of passage from childhood into adulthood. As we have already seen, this is normally celebrated in Western culture when a person turns 21. Other cultures, however, vary on the age when a person is regarded as being an adult. The Jewish coming of age ceremony is known as the bar mitzvah or bat mitzvah. Boys celebrate their bar mitzvah at the age of 13, while girls celebrate a bat mitzvah when they turn 12. Shenpuku was a historic Japanese coming-of-age ceremony. It was also known as the kakan and marked the entry into adulthood of boys between the ages of 12 and 16. They were taken to shrines of their patron kami, or spirits, where they were presented with their first adult clothes. They would also receive a special haircut known as a mizura. Finally, they were given their adult names. During the Heian period, the ceremony was restricted to the sons of samurai families. During the Muromachi era, this gradually spread to include people of lower rank and status. The equivalent ceremony for women was called mogi and was performed for girls aged between 12 and 14, and was similarly based around the presentation of adult clothing. In modern Japan, these ceremonies have been replaced by the annual coming-of-age ceremonies for 20-year-olds of both sexes called Seijin Shiki. The Guanli is the Chinese coming-of-age ceremony. The name Guanli refers to the ceremony for men, whilst the Jili refers to the one for women. The age of the person is usually 20, and during the ceremony, the person obtains a style name. These ceremonies are now rarely practiced in China. However, there has been a recent resurgence, especially for those who are sympathetic to the Hanfu movement. The Poi Sang Long, Festival of the Crystal Suns, is a rite of passage ceremony among the Shan people in Myanmar and northern Thailand. Boys between the ages of 7 and 14 take novice monastic vows. They also participate in monastery life for a period that can vary from a single week to months or even years. In Hinduism, the samskara are a series of sacraments, sacrifices, and rituals that serve as rite of passage. All human beings, especially the jiva or twice-born, are required to perform a number of sacrifices with obligations for gods, ancestors, and guardians, in accordance with the Vedic dictums for a dharmic or religious life. Sanskar is a commonly used variant of the Sanskrit word samskara and signifies cultural heritage and upbringing in modern Hindi. Rus is a traditional and cultural phenomenon in Scandinavia, most notably in Norway. In Norway, students who graduate from upper secondary school are called Rus and celebrate with a characteristic festival, Rasfering, during the first few weeks of May. In Sweden, a similar celebration is called Studenten, the student. In Finland, students celebrate the start of the final exam in a similar tradition called Penkaret. The Amish religious denomination lives to a very strict code of conduct. Yet during adolescence, teens, usually at the age of about 16, embark on a period known as Rumspringa. They normally move out of the community and are allowed the freedom to do pretty much as they please. They are allowed to participate in activities that are normally taboo within the community. Rumspringa ends either when the youth chooses baptism with the Amish church and returns to the community, or when they decide to leave the community forever. The Amish elders regard Rumspringa as a time for courtship and finding a wife. While on the subject of finding wives, nearly every culture has a marriage ceremony of some sort. While they may differ in many ways, the objective remains more or less the same: become betrothed to a partner. Some religions and cultures allow for more than one wife. Others still have arranged marriages. A bride will sometimes only get to meet her husband for the first time at their wedding ceremony. Rituals, traditions, and ceremonies extend to just about every aspect of life, not only the important ones. When I did my private pilot's license, there was a tradition, and I believe it still exists, that after you had completed your first solo flight, your feet were not allowed to touch the ground until you had been dunked. At the flight school where I trained, as soon as you landed, fellow qualified pilots would carry you from the cockpit to a fish pond in front of the clubhouse, and you were thrown into the water. In skydiving, there's a tradition that when you do your 1000th jump, you do it nude. Even education has many rituals and traditions. Think of graduation ceremonies, matric dances, and initiation for new pupils. Many large organizations will have their own rituals and traditions, and this is especially true in the military. For instance, when God Save the Queen is played, all British soldiers will jump to attention and salute, except that is for officers of 13th, 15th Royal Hussars. When the national anthem is played, they will remain seated. In fact, any officer standing will immediately find somewhere to sit, even if it's on the floor. Are they a rebellious, unpatriotic mob that show no respect for the monarchy or their country? No, they're following an old regimental tradition. It appears that Queen Mary was a guest at a formal dinner at the regiment. When the national anthem God Save the Queen was played, all the officers present jumped to their feet. Don't bother to stand, Queen Mary told them. Please sit down and relax. Sit down. So they did sit down, and have never stood since for the national anthem. While there are rituals for birth, coming of age, marriage, and just about everything in between, don't forget the final send-off. That time in your life when we bring down the curtain and join the choir invisible. Yes, even death comes with its own little rituals and ceremonies. Nearly every culture and religion has some sort of ceremony to mark the death of a person. These include funeral services, burial, or even cremation. Do a bit of research into traditional old Viking funerals. They're really something else. Being Irish, my culture has enough traditions and rituals. The celebration of St. Patrick's Day, the patron saint of Ireland, is probably one of the biggest rituals. At one stage, it was a religious festival. Now it's just an excuse for a huge party. Naturally, the Irish also have rituals and traditions dealing with death. One Irish ritual that is still often observed is the wake. The corpse will be laid out at his home for everyone to see and pay their last respects. The woman would normally arrive first and sit around speaking quietly while drinking tea. Then the men would arrive and the strongest stuff would come out. Whiskey, known in Irish as ishkava, the water of life, would flow. Wakes was often turned into huge parties, and it was not uncommon for there to be a fight or two. I once heard a story, probably true, that someone punched the corpse at a wake because apparently the corpse didn't want to have a drink with him. Some joke that a good Irish wake should lead to at least another 2 or 3 funerals. Another Irish tradition was to place 2 coins on the corpse's eyelid. This was so that they would be able to pay the ferryman that carried them across the river Styx to the other side. Mirrors in the house were covered until after the funeral. This was so that the dead person's ghost couldn't see themselves in the mirror, in case they got a fright when they found out they were dead. According to old Irish tradition, a person would always be buried with a new pair of shoes. This was because the new shoes wouldn't know the way back home, and the spirit couldn't return home and haunt its old house. Traditions, rituals, rites, celebrations, they're a part of life. And of course death. It's a sad fact that many of these traditions and rituals are dying out with the younger generations. Maybe we should keep them going. After all, they are a rite of passage. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to read our monthly magazine at www.hype.co.za. Please feel free to leave a comment, and remember to share this video with your friends. But above all, while you're here, just click on that subscribe button. It really helps. Many thanks.